Welcome back to my channel, and if you are new here, hello. But I am going to be doing a reading vlog. It is through a couple of days of footage that I am doing. There will be some spoilers. It will kind of be a vlog, but I will be talking about the book as I read through it. So let's get on into that. Okay, I got through chapter 1 of Middle of the Night, and so far it's good. Ethan is now back at his childhood home where he was camping with his friend Billy, and when he woke up the next morning, Billy was gone. But now that he is back at his childhood home, he is noticing a lot of the lights, like garage lights, sensor lights, at everybody else's house that he can see through his window are coming on. And he goes outside, and when he's outside, he happens to set off one of the sensors to the lights, and he freaks out. And then at the end of the chapter, he's like, there's a presence. Ethan's like, there's a presence. And he thinks it's Billy. So I am going to finish up with my dough. I am going to roll it, let it rise some more, and then get back to reading. These are my little rolls, buns, whatever you want to call them. But I am now going to let them sit here and rise a little bit more for an hour. And I'm going to go jump back into my book. Okay, now it's time to preheat the oven and throw these into the oven once it's preheated. But I got to chapter 4 and I have marked little sections of like maybe foreshadowing of what could have happened. But between each chapter is like a snippet of the day that Billy went missing. So far, you've got Ethan's perspective of how his morning started and a little bit about how Billy's morning has started. And, well, not really how Billy's morning has started, but how he is trying to get Ethan's attention for the morning. But let me show you. So at one part, okay, my predictions is that Billy is actually possibly could be Ethan's like imaginary friend. Like maybe Ethan has some mental illness. It does talk about how Ethan has very bad insomnia. He looks up Billy's like missing online. Ethan's now 40 years old and he's looking up online, and he's done it quite a lot. And he goes to the website and he sees Billy's picture and how they like progressed it as Billy getting older and what he may look like now as a 40-year-old. But I don't know, for some reason I think Billy may not be actually real. Maybe Billy's always been a ghost. He could have always been a ghost. But Ethan, so in the snippet of how Ethan's morning starts, his mom is like home making breakfast on a Friday, and she usually does that on Saturdays because she works Monday through Friday. But both his parents are home, and he's kind of like suspicious of that. And he's trying to figure out like why his mom is home. And she says that the job no longer needs her anymore and all that stuff. While he's taking his dog outside, he's like thinking about like the things he fears of like what could be happening. And one of them is that his mom and dad may be getting a divorce. And it does talk about how he did have a friend before Billy that his parents had got divorced. They lived next door, and his friend had to move away to Texas with his mom. But while he's taking his dog out to the restroom in the backyard, the dog is growling at the forest, and the dog's not much of a growler. But this quote right here, so this is as the dog's barking and Ethan's like this, or growling, and Ethan's like, this doesn't usually happen. It says, or one of the other animals that emerged from the woods at all hours of the day. Ethan can only remember one other time when his dog growled at Fitz Van de Veer during the 4th of July picnic for reasons no one could understand. So I'm like, okay, well maybe Van Deer is the one that actually took Billy, because like why would the dog growl? And in so far, like in this part, they talked about they've interviewed all kinds of people for taking Billy and that they haven't come across anybody. And then it also talks about how Ethan doesn't like exploring the woods. So this is another quote. He's just never felt the need to explore the woods any further, mostly because he already knows what's there. Lots of trees, lots of rocks. Oh, and the Hawthorne Institute, which Ethan knows nothing about beyond the fact that its existence and that it exists and that he's not allowed to go there. So also maybe somebody from the Institute, if it's like still has people in it, could have taken Billy. And then so those two quotes are like my foreshadow thinking of maybe something from one of those could have taken Billy. And then this quote right here is like what I think, like towards my prediction of maybe Billy being an imaginary friend of Ethan's. Ethan's been having dreams since the day after Billy's went missing, and it's the same dream over and over and over again. And it's basically about him seeing that there's a rip in the tent, and when he looks through the rip, it is complete darkness, and then he hears a knife that would be cutting it, but it's like after it's been cut, he hears the noise of the knife going through the tent. But this quote says, "Or is the dream imagined memories formed by things I know? So is it just imaginary? I don't know." And then I've also marked, so through all that, I know I've said a lot. I am just rambling. I don't even know what I'm saying. But anywho, in chapter 3, after he like wakes up, dreams, gets his coffee, takes a shower, the lawnmowers are, I forgot to mention that Billy, like that morning while Ethan was young, taking his dog out for, to go to the restroom, Billy threw a ball over the hedge. And when Billy throws the ball over the hedge, that means he's kind of ready to play with Ethan and start their day. So we go back to now Ethan being an adult. He wakes up from the dream. And once he wakes up from that dream, he takes a shower, he gets his coffee, he does, the whole 9 yards. And as that's happening, the mowers are mowing the front yard and the backyard and all that stuff. But Ethan notices that there's no more like lawnmower happening, no more blower, no more like any of that. And he hears a knock at the door. And he goes to open it. And the lawn guy's like, "Hey, I have something to tell you." And it's this: "I'm here because there was something in your yard this morning. It was no problem today, but in the future, I'd really appreciate it if you would make sure your kids don't leave sports equipment in the grass when we come to mow." And then Ethan says, I don't have kids. It's just me here living by myself. My parents, left me the house. They've moved. But like as they're talking, at the end, the lawn guy pulls out of his pocket, and then this is the quote: "There resting in his cupped palm is a baseball." So like, Billy, are you a ghost now? Is it just Ethan's imagination? Is Ethan mentally ill and like he's doing this during his insomnia hours? Like what is happening? And then this part right here is another snippet from when they were kids, and this is like Billy's perspective. "Whenever you find the ball in your yard, it means you need to come over and find me. I saw it in a movie. A man who moved into a haunted house kept finding balls left by ghosts." Okay, so sir, is Billy a ghost? Is Billy really a ghost? Or did like Ethan see this movie and like this is his imagination? I don't know. Okay. And then there was another quote. He knows he's not like the other boys in his age. This is about Billy. So this quote is going to be about Billy and what he's thinking. He knows he's not like the other boys his age, and sometimes that bothers him. Sometimes he even wishes he could be different. Not so prone to flights of fancy or fits of imagination. Anywho, I don't know. We're going to start chapter 4, and I need to put this bread into the oven. So I'm going to do that. I am currently now on page 86, and I think I want to take back my predictions of Billy being Ethan's imaginary friend and Ethan being maybe mentally ill and thinking that Billy was his friend. I have a new prediction. I don't really want to say what that prediction is because it could spoil a lot. Just know I think it has to do with Ashley, Ethan, and Russ. Russ and Ashley are from the cul-de-sac from 30 years ago, and they also are still back in the hometown 30 years later after everything happened. So I also think it does have to do something with the Hawthorne Institute, but I'm not sure. But the Hawthorne Institute, Ethan, Ashley, and Russ. I don't know. All I know is poor Billy. Poor Billy. Poor Billy. It's over. Let's talk. Oh my God. The middle of the night. All the way up until the end, it threw you for a loop. There was always something new was happening. I had about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These green ones right here are my predictions, and I had like wrote them down in the book. I had 5 different predictions on who took Billy or what happened to Billy. And I can say that one of my predictions, I am fairly close to like what happened to Billy, like who did it to Billy, but I had no idea how it happened. Correct? But I did guess the person early on. Let me see. It was about page, let's see. On page 121, I do have a list of people I think that did it, and the person that I think did it is in here. I know you all can barely see it, but they are in here. And it was my third prediction, like my third guess of the book. So all these blue ones are my foreshadowing, and then my green ones are what I think is going to happen or who did it. But anywho, the middle of the night, this is my only Riley Sager book that I have read so far. I think I will be reading more of his. It kept me interested through the whole thing, and I truly didn't know what was going to happen at the end at all. I didn't. All the way up until like, I don't know, a chapter, 2 chapters before it ended, I was still guessing on, like, I thought I knew. And then it threw me for a whirlwind, and I was like, oh, wait, what the heck? Yeah. So a lot of people I have seen said Middle of the Night was not their favorite. It did take them a while to get through. It only took me a while to get through because I had work. When I first started it, I had a couple days, and then I worked for the weekend, and then I finished it up. But it's good. I think it's good. If you haven't read Riley Sager yet, I would make this your first book by him to read. If not, I do hear that he has better ones, but I enjoyed it. I really, really liked it. I was very thrown off at the end, to say the least. I hope y'all enjoyed the video, and I hope you do pick up the Middle of the Night, because To me, I am gonna probably give it a 5 out of 5 stars. But if you did enjoy the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see y'all next week with another video. Bye.